record to this. All right. Well, I want to say hello to everyone that is joining the call live and hello to anyone watching the recording. Tonight we are going to talk about inviting. So as you can start to see, a lot of the videos are having a theme, and then every single week we have a specific theme that we'll go over. And then from there, obviously we'll go into deeper detail to polish our skills, because we really do believe that there are a couple of core skills to build when you are building your USANA business. And why not focus on the stuff that helps us make money? So tonight we will talk about inviting, and I want to talk about inviting in a couple of different ways. If you're watching this live or relatively live, it is January 4th, so it's the beginning of the year for 2018. Everyone is excited. Everyone is also starting to look at their credit card statements. So USANA can be, I don't know. I've heard this phrase before and I'll say it again. USANA can be a really good fit for a lot of people. It's just a matter of when and where you want to approach them. So some people might think this is a great time to approach people about starting a USANA business. Sometimes people think it's a little too intense for them. It's 100% up to you. It's your business. Again, we all get paid off the volume that we bring into our business and produce. So with that being said, use this as an opportunity. It's a new year. People are wanting to start new beginnings. They're wanting to maybe get out of credit card debt, or maybe pay down some student loans, or maybe bring in some extra income to help with, things around the house. And a USANA business is a great possibility for them to do that. So because it is a new year, don't be shy about inviting about the business. Don't be shy about reaching out and talking to people about either a reset or maybe a health pack or maybe some booster C, because it is freezing wherever you're at right now, basically. Even in Florida, it's like 42 degrees. So
don't even get me started.
Oh God, it's so cold. It's so cold. Like, it's Florida. Like, the high is 42. It's insane. Like, they had, if you're not watching this live, like, they're having right now sleet and hail warnings in Florida, in the middle of Florida, because it's so cold. Everyone doesn't know what to do with snow. So it's hilarious. But there's so many different options for helping you build your business. It's just a matter of how big you want to grow and how fast you want to grow and how much work you're willing to put into it. Because just like with any other business, you can see I am at my motorcycle shop right now, my brick and mortar. No matter what business you're in, it all takes effort and it all takes time and it takes consistency. So whatever you want to do, there are bunches of options. So keeping with that inviting theme, let's go over inviting business partners, and then we'll go over inviting for products. And then we'll kind of touch a teeny bit into inviting into businesses, and then a teeny bit into following up. Next week, we'll be focusing a lot more on following up, just so you kind of get the flow of everything. So inviting for business partners. I can say from personal experience that I have done a lot of different invites for business partners. I don't even think any two invites are the same. So it's one of those things. Don't get nervous if you're still new to the business. Don't get nervous about, inviting people to the business and worrying about what to say and is this the right word or is that the right word. First off, you'll drive yourself crazy. I'm speaking from experience. And second off, a lot of it, it sounds very woo-woo-y, but a lot of it comes back from your vibe. If you are being open and honest and you're, whatever you're phrasing it or whatever you're saying, but you're coming off as honest and genuine and as a way that you can help them, not just, try and make a sale off them, that comes across a lot better than having, the perfect wording, because even the perfect wording can't convince someone of something they don't want to do. And even the most messed up invite can have someone say, you know what, I'm interested in you learning more. Let's talk. So the wording doesn't have to be perfect, and I don't want you to think that the wording does have to be perfect. If you'd like to see the current inviting scripts that I personally use and I always recommend on the team, please feel free to go to the team resource guide and you can look at the inviting scripts. That is a Google Doc that you'll be redirected to, and that one is constantly updated with a bunch of different business invites, and then we highlight in yellow the wording that I think you should tailor, and then the rest of the body you should pretty much leave alone if you feel comfortable with it. But a lot of the business invites that I think are really, really good they come from that script. And that is something that I use a lot. And I know a couple of other people on the team use a lot as well. And another thing too, when it comes to business invites, kind of go off your gut. Look at your prospecting list, maybe in the beginning of the week, if it makes it a little bit easier on you, in the beginning of the week, kind of, reach out and look at your list and see like who would be a really good invite for a business, who would be a really good invite for a product. I'd like to say that, don't shy away from the business invites, even if it feels a little bit scary. And if you want help with inviting, please feel free to reach out to your sponsor, or you can reach out to me or Tiffany directly. We'll happily help you. So don't shy away from business invites. It's a great way for you to expand your business and also work with someone else to expand their business and bring in income for their family. So switching over to product invites. Product invites, I've done a ton of them. Tiffany has done a gazillion of them at this point. And I like to, I'll ask for your invite or your feedback for a second. But yeah, I wanted to see, when I do a product invite, for example, I like to pick like a theme. So because it's really cold out right now, I'm picking the theme of either a booster C or like a cold and flu pack or a cold and flu preventative type of pack. So that can be something like the health pack and have it customized to them. Or it could be something as simple as like the Cell Essentials and then maybe a booster C or whatever the scenario is. Or if it's in the middle of the summer, maybe you're picking a reset or whatever the case is. But when I'm doing product invites, I kind of like to pick a little bit of a theme and go, okay, who would be a really good recipient of this product versus working the other way around. I feel a lot more of a flow when I do it that way. And I go, okay, like who's going to come to mind for a booster C versus just, okay, well, Mary Smith, what should I recommend for Mary Smith? Because sometimes it's just a little too hard and that, that little bit of tension can prevent you from actually creating the invite. Tiffany, what do you do for your product invites? How do you structure them?
Well, most of the time, there's two ways that I do them, and one of them is that I'll actually be talking to somebody, or they'll be engaging with something I posted about losing weight or something. And then from there, I'll be like, hey, what is your goal? What do you want to do? And then depending on what they want, to be like, here's this awesome thing that could help you, like the reset or a 28-day program or shakes and so on. The other way is what you mentioned, like think of Mary Smith first and then seeing what they want. And depending on what they need, sometimes honestly it is a little bit harder. It's something that I'm not really used to doing. Like, for example, I had a friend who has I don't even know how to pronounce it. Something going on.
Yeah.
That needs like help with like inflammation, but then like I couldn't think of a recommendation right away off the top of my head, and that's when the conversation kind of just falls off a little bit, and it's a little bit harder to follow up with because you're like, okay, well, let me go think about it and I'll check and I'll get back to you.
No, that's a really good point. So I've had that issue, and I'll be totally open and honest about it. I've had that issue, and I have come to the point where I have, and this is a good thing to know for product recommendations, I always have my default invite to be either the Cell Essentials or the health pack. So speaking from that example of someone that has issues with inflammation, it's one of those things that, depending on the person's situation, if they have a specific diagnosis or something like that, you can always start researching and ask the scientists to see what recommendations maybe are in there and what, the scientists are actually telling you is a really good inflammation. You can approach it three ways. So if you're stuck on a product recommendation for someone, whether you're just thinking out of the blue or, someone's talking to you and you don't know what to recommend, three things you can do. You can go into Ask the Scientist and use that as a resource because a lot of people use that as a resource and it's very robust. So I don't want you to forget about that one because a lot of people overlook that. The second thing that you can do is you can send them a true health assessment. And by far, that is hands down my most favorite tool to use. And again, it's another tool that people don't use and don't utilize nearly enough. there's so much money and engineering and science behind that. And the best thing is it's a good validated third-party tool. It's not, some people get a little nervous when you're recommending products because sometimes they may feel, especially if you don't have that great of a relationship with them, they may feel that you're recommending a product that's going to make you the most money. Well, versus looking at their health first. So the True Health Assessment is a third-party tool. You send them the link. It takes them about 10 minutes, or you can ask them the questions and fill it out. It takes about 10 minutes. And then that way you can see what that recommendation is recommending for them. It's tailored for them. They get their own private email of results, of recommendations, and then future recommendations. And then to even make it even better customer service, I always tell everyone, you know, especially when they take the True Health Assessment for the first time, that I recommend that you take it about every 6 months, because as you start to become more health aware, as you start to change your healthy living and environment, then your results are going to change, and maybe we need to tweak the products that you're taking. So it's a really good third-party tool to validate what they need, and then to kind of make sure they're going along a nice healthy track. And then it gives you a bunch of information, a bunch of products that it recommends. So then that way you have a platform to have a conversation with them. And if they or you don't want to use either of those two options, the best default is always going to be the Cell Essentials. And especially when they have just kind of a vague answer. Oh, I have anxiety. Can I take something for that? I have rosacea. I have excess stress. I've got inflammation, you know, kind of these very big, broad health terms that don't, you know, you've got like 9 things to unpack to find out, okay, well, why are you stressed? You know, it's not just some one simple little answer, or why do you have, you know, excess, whatever, X, Y, and Z. Or, oh, you get sick a lot? Okay, so, you know, where it's a very big, broad term versus I have joint pain. That's a very specific thing. So I want you to hear the difference in the two. I have inflammation issues and I have joint pain. Something is very targeted. It's referencing a part of the body. It's actionable. Inflammation, that's helpful. Where? What's going on? When does it flare up? How does it flare up? Is it food related? Is it not? I mean, it's just too broad. So when you get a super broad question or statement like that, and they're like, what do you recommend? Always, 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 always either recommend the Cell Essentials or the Health Pack. And here's why. Your body, and you guys, you know, if you want to learn more about either of the products, go into the hub, go into the communication center or communication edge, and then look up the videos. They're freaking fantastic. They're great resources, and they're great resources to share with people too. But when you have a lot of stress and anxiety and just kind of everyday life, and you're not putting in the proper nutrients in your body, because it's resourceful and awesome, will start to actually steal from other places in your body. So if you're not getting enough calcium, you know, it'll start stealing calcium from other places. If you're not getting enough X, Y, and Z vitamin or mineral, it'll start stealing it from other places, because your body is just trying to keep it optimal and keep everything running and healthy. So when you're not getting enough of those baseline vitamins in, then everything's going to be affected from that. So I used to learn this when I was a farm tech in farm school. And it's one of those things that, you know, even doctors, you have to get someone at a good, solid, healthy baseline, and then you can go from there and you can adjust. I mean, I use that same principle in USANA. I use it around my businesses. I use it at my motorcycle shop. You know, here's another random example. Someone will come in and say, hey, I've got 9 different issues going on with my motorcycle. What's wrong with it? And I say, well, first we need to fix the baseline issue, and then we can evaluate and we can go from there, because you'll get false positives. You'll get all these weird random side effects, especially in the health world, that may or may not be related, but unless you take care of all the underlying issues, which is getting enough minimum nutrients in the body, how do you know what, you know, optimizers to recommend from there? How do you know what, you know, 28-day reset pack to customize for them, or any of those scenarios? So fantastic. I've learned it from experience more than anything. Tried and true. Always get them either on a Cell Essential or on a Health Pack. And that is a good default, you know, answer. And then you also have at least a good why, because obviously people don't buy the feature, they buy the benefits. So tell them the why, tell them about baseline health, and then you can go from there, and then you can tweak and customize from them. And then, maybe that leads into them taking a 10-minute True Health assessment. So then they can get their own personalized recommendations. And another thing too is when you are looking at the True Health assessments, as a person sending out the assessment, so say I'm sending out the assessment to Tiffany, I just get the fact that she took the test, and then I get I think it's like top 10 vitamins that recommended. I don't get to see her scores. I don't get to see any of the personalized information. That all stays with Tiffany. So you can always, comfort them that, hey, I don't see your scores. I don't see your personal recommendations. I just see your product recommendations. So any of that stuff, please be extremely honest, because it's all personal and it's all you. So that is kind of like my little soapbox when it comes to product recommendations, because it can be overwhelming, and it's one of those things. Don't let it be overwhelming. I think Lindsay's a girl in our team or in the bigger team right now. She does a fantastic job either every week or every other week. She's picking a product in the USANA company and she promotes it. So she posts on it on Facebook or Instagram. She talks about it and she does kind of like a little feature benefit thing for that product so that she has time to learn the product. So don't just try and mimic someone. Use the skill that she's doing. She's taking it and learning the product line one product at a time every single week. And then that way she's also giving recommendations and all of that are kind of tailored. And then over time, people start to go, oh, well, she has a lot of product knowledge about vitamins in general. Let me reach out to her. So it's one of those things. Don't expect to learn the product, catalog in a day. If you do, fantastic, but don't feel the need to. At minimum, always recommend Cell Essentials or the Health Pack. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we've done a business invite, we've done a product invite, and now I kind of want to go into a business to business invite. So again, we in USANA, we don't make money just because you sign someone up or anything like that. You make money off of the volume that your business is moving. You are a volume business. That is how you make your paychecks. That is how you make residual income. So if you think about it in a different mindset, if you have a doctor's office that you go to and you're really, you know them really well, or maybe a chiropractor's office or something like that. Actually, I'm going to pause the recording 1 sec because I have a emergency phone call. Okay, so we are back. So going back to the third topic of tonight when it comes to inviting, and that is inviting business to business, because again, you started a USANA business, so you have a business, regardless that it's not a brick and mortar. It is an online business, and so let's go ahead and leverage that. So inviting to a business can be inviting to a doctor's office, inviting to a nurse's office, inviting to, a gym, a yoga studio, a chiropractor. Doesn't matter the business, doesn't matter if it's brick or mortar or not. It can even be a health coach. When you are inviting to that business, there are a couple of things that you can do. You can go into that business there's two. So you can go into that business and you can be a vendor, and they can buy products from you and they can display it, and then they could basically buy the product from you and then they could sell it at a retail amount, and then you're making all of the commission volume and the commission sales personally versus the business. Or you can invite the business, so you can talk to that chiropractor's office or that nurse's office, and if they're looking to not only bring the product into their business, but they're also looking at making an income from this, a bigger income, let's say, then you can sign them up as a distributor, and then that way, if they want to keep some samples on hand, they can order that. But any of the customers or clients that they come and interact with, then they would be signing them up as a preferred customer. They would be setting up the auto orders, so that way, chiropractor X is making the paychecks and making a bigger consistent paycheck versus you getting all of the volume. Of course, as their sponsor, you would get volume, you would be able to be there and assist them and all of that. But that is one of the ways to kind of look at it from a bigger volume perspective. So say you have 6 doctors that you've reached out to and you are now setting them up and they are their own distributors. That can bring you in a pretty decent paycheck depending on how much physical volume the doctor's offices or the chiropractor's offices is actually moving. So I think that that is something that people tend to forget, that again, at the end of the day, USANA pays you off of the volume that you're moving. It's not just let me sign up 10 people, because if they're not moving any volume, then your paycheck's not going to be as big as if you had 4 doctors' offices. And if you don't know any brick and mortar businesses, or maybe that's something that's out of your wheelhouse and you feel uncomfortable, you don't have to do it. It's totally an option. And a way to maybe get into some of these brick and mortar businesses is to be a vendor at their events. So I know that I've done 2 different gyms in 2017, and I'm going to be booking more gyms in 2018, where I show up as a USANA vendor, and they have an event, and I show up with my product samples, and I show up with a table and some literature, and then I'm there and I'm interacting with customers, and I'm a vendor at their event. And then if I, sign up a customer or something like that, I sign everyone up through me. And then one thing I haven't done in the past, which I will be doing for 2018, is any of the people that I get as a client through that event day. So say I go and I work a Saturday event and I'm there from, 10 to 2, and I get 5 customers. What I would do going forward is I would have them fill out a paper invoice so that I can write down all the order information. I would hold all of that, and then at the end of the event, when you go to the gym or the spa or the chiropractor and you're thanking them for, letting them let you have a table there, letting you take up the time, letting you interact with their customers, then at that point you can show them, hey, I'm so appreciative for letting me be a vendor at your event. I just want to give you a heads up. I got 5 clients from this. If this is something that you are interested, possibly having me as a vendor going forward, I'd love to come back. Or if you're interested in the future of using USANA as a way to bring additional income into your business, you can see that you already have an existing clientele that is interested in the product. And then you can have the conversation from there. You always have to feel it out and see what you think is the most appropriate, but that's a really good, easy way to prove to a business that may be slightly skeptical, oh, well, 5 of my customers already bought in one day with just one event. How else do I make more money from those existing customers? Because as any type of brick and mortar business or any type of business in general, your customer acquisition, so getting your first customers, is always the hardest part of the business. I don't care what business you're in, whether it's online or offline or a combo. It's the hardest amount of work that you're putting in. Where you start to make your money is having your repeat customers and then getting a bigger volume of sales from those existing customers. You actually will have a higher pay rate from those existing customers than you will a new customer, because they're trying you out, they're getting to know you and to like you and to see if they want to do business with you, versus an existing customer already loves you, already loves what you do, and they're going to be more inclined to give you referrals or buy more from you. So that is a really easy way to show a gym, a yoga studio, a doctor's office that, they already have an existing clientele that would be interested in the product. And then at that event, maybe instead of you just getting 5 preferred customers, you're getting a new distributor and they get those 5 preferred customers to start their business off with a bang. So that's an idea. And then the one thing I wanted to touch about when it comes to inviting that I actually didn't mention in the beginning is referrals. So referrals is something I think we all should be asking for, and I think we should be asking a lot more for, and it's something we don't really ask for. So you have a new preferred customer, you are working with them for the first couple of months to make sure they understand auto orders and how much money they can be saving and maximizing whatever, whether they're on a health pack or a customized health pack or maybe some optimizers, maximizing the benefits that they can be getting with the amount of money they want to spend. Another thing that you can do is to say, hey, and this is 100% up to you. Obviously, USANA is not going to be, dictating how you do this, but you can say, hey, for every 5 preferred customers you refer to me, I will give you X widget for free. I'll give you a free probiotic order. the 14 sticks of probiotics. You're giving your customers, and maybe that's one of their favorite products. They're like, oh, awesome. I'll happily refer 5 people to buy from you so I can get free products. So when you're in that mindset with them and referring, if they start referring those 5 customers to you, and then maybe they do another batch of 5, when you start to have them do that, that is another good person to reach out to and say, hey, you've referred 15 customers to me in the past couple of weeks. I've actually, I have the last batch of 5 customers that you referred to me. I haven't placed their order yet. Have you thought about looking at USANA as a way to bring in extra income, so that way you can get all your products for free versus just the couple of probiotics that you're getting from me every once in a blue moon? Obviously, you have an existing friend base or client base or whatever base that is interested in the product. You sent 10, 15 people my way. Why don't you start making the commissions and bringing in, some extra income, or at minimum, just getting all your products for free? So it's a different way and a different approach of going about referrals, but always start out with encouraging people to do referrals. And you can make up whatever referral process you want. It could be, for every, business partner or, preferred customer you send my way, I'll give you a $5 Starbucks card that signs up. It doesn't have to be USANA product related, but I'd like to say keep it USANA product related, because then that way you can always place the order, and then that way you can make the commission on the extra order that you're placing, and that you're reinforcing, that you're re-dangling the carrot with USANA. I know that was a little hard to get out, but you're re-encouraging USANA. Everything always comes back to USANA in your USANA business, because again, we want you to have a good, high sustainable volume so that you can make really good residual income from that. So again, in this talk, we've talked about reaching out for business partners and how we go ahead and get those business partners and what scripts we use. A bunch of different ways to reach out to preferred customers, everything from going by person to person or picking a product once a week and going out that way, reaching out to businesses or higher volume clientele, so businesses, doctors' offices, gyms, spas, things like that. And then the last one was referrals. And again, and then I told you that we would talk about following up a little bit. There is a tool in the team resources that I cannot stress enough. Tiffany and I have spent probably about 6 months working on this tool, and it is your daily check-in sheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet. It's got a couple tabs on it, and it is a godsend, but only if you actually put the information in there to do the work. So it is a spreadsheet to help you keep an eye out on when you talk to people, when was the last time you talked to them, when do you need to follow up with them, and what did you talk about? It's a way to kind of keep everything in one spot, because as your USANA business grows, as your volume starts to grow, as your clientele starts to grow, as your distributors start to grow, trying to keep everything in your head is just going to drive you insane. And on top of it, regardless of driving you insane, because we know from experience, it's going to make it so that you actually miss out on money-making opportunities. So you'll miss that auto order window when you should be reminding them, hey, you have an auto order coming up. Is there anything you'd like to add? Or you're going to miss a time frame of talking to someone because you didn't write it down. I cannot stress it enough. Get it out of your head. Use the tool. It's in the team resource guide. Click on the follow-up tab and start putting all of those people that you're reaching out to and having conversations, just put them in there. So at least you have everything in one spot. Sometimes when you're dealing with a distributor, it takes, an average of 5 to 10 exposures to talk with them and, work with them and see if they're interested in coming into USANA. So instead of trying to keep it all in your head and go, okay, when was the last exposure? What exposure are they at? Because depending on what exposure they're at, they'll have different types of questions. Use the tool. And I can't stress it enough, especially if you're new with USANA. People think, well, I'm only reaching out to 1 to 3 people a day. The tool is not that useful. But as you get the momentum, as you start to snowball, it's also nice to know that, people sometimes have this mindset of, I reached out to Sally, 3 months ago, I can't reach back out to her. When in reality, if you wrote it down and looked at your spreadsheet, and I've done this from experience, it's been 9 months since you reached out to her. And you're thinking, oh my God, we talked about USANA 2 or 3 months ago. And in reality, it's almost a year ago. So it's a good way for you to keep a reality check on yourself and your own limiting beliefs as to when you reached out to someone, so that you can see, maybe I'm pestering them a little bit, or maybe I'm not like talking to them at all. It's kind of hard to argue with the black and white facts of that. So use that tool, make it something that works for you. If you have any questions in regards to the tool, please reach out to me or reach out to Tiffany, and we will happily help you with going through the tool and how to make, basically optimize it for you. So then that way you also have a pulse on your business every single week versus sitting down and starting from scratch and go like, what do we do again? Because there's no need to do that. It's stressful. We've been there. It's ugly. We don't like it. Use the tool. Leverage the tool, so then that way you can build your volume. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to reach out to your sponsor. And I hope you guys have a good night and happy inviting.
Happy inviting.
Bye.